We spend our whole lives building a home, but after 70, that same home can turn into a minefield. You think you're just cleaning up or getting organized. But for those of us over 60, a simple step stool or a heavy box isn't just a chore. It's a gamble with your independence. I've seen vibrant, healthy friends lose their mobility in a single afternoon because they tried to do one quick thing alone. Today, I'm revealing the 7 dangerous decluttering tasks that are strictly off-limits if you're flying solo. If you value your freedom, listen closely, because one wrong move could change your life forever. The garage. For many of us, it's the final frontier of the home, the place where someday goes to die. When I stood in my own garage at 68, I saw 30 years of accumulated life. I saw heavy power tools, stacks of old magazines, and boxes of holiday decorations that hadn't been opened since the turn of the century. My first instinct was to dive in. I wanted that space back. I wanted the satisfaction of a clean floor. But what I didn't see was the hidden price of that ambition. We often view decluttering as a mental or organizational task, but after 70, it becomes a high-stakes athletic event. The problem is that our brains remember a body that could pivot, lift, and balance without a second thought. Our current reality, however, is a body that requires calculated movements. Standing in a cluttered garage isn't just about the mess. It's about the uneven floor, the poor lighting, and the sudden realization that you are surrounded by heavy objects that no longer obey your command. Take the basement stairs, for example. In our younger years, these were just a conduit between floors. Now, they're the most dangerous incline in your personal geography. I've spoken to so many peers who tried to carry just one box of old tax returns or photo albums down these steps alone. The danger isn't just the weight, it's the shift in your center of gravity. When you hold a box in front of you, you lose sight of your feet. You lose the ability to see the edge of the next step. In that darkness, with your peripheral vision obscured, a single misplaced heel can result in a fall that ends your ability to live independently. A home should be a sanctuary, not an obstacle course. We have to stop treating our physical limitations as a moral failing. It is not weak to acknowledge that a staircase and a heavy load are a lethal combination. It is, in fact, the height of wisdom to wait for a pair of helping hands. The banister becomes your best friend as the years climb, but even it has limits. I remember gripping mine so hard my knuckles turned white, trying to navigate a pile of loose mail I'd left on the 3rd step. We think we are being efficient by staging items on the stairs to take up later. In reality, we are setting traps for our future selves. Every loose paper, every stray shoe, every box left just for a minute on a walkway is a variable we can no longer afford. Our reaction times naturally slow as we age. If you trip at 30, you stumble and recover. If you trip at 75, gravity wins before your brain can even signal your muscles to brace. This is why the first rule of senior decluttering is clear. Never, under any circumstances, attempt to clear or navigate cluttered vertical spaces without a spotter. Your independence is worth more than the pride of doing it yourself. Let's talk about the silent killer in the corner of your utility room, the old wooden stepladder. Many of us have owned the same ladder for 30 years. We trust it because it's always been there. But what dries out, it splinters, its joints loosen over decades of seasonal changes. When you combine an aging ladder with a floor that might be slightly slick, like kitchen tile or polished hardwood, you are creating a recipe for disaster. At 70, your inner ear, which governs your balance, isn't as sharp as it once was. If you feel even a slight dizzy spell while standing on the 3rd rung, there is no catch mechanism. You are going down. I've seen statistics that would make your blood run cold. The majority of senior hospitalizations due to falls don't happen on the street. They happen in the home, often involving a height of less than 3 feet. It's the short falls that catch you off guard. If you must reach something high, throw away the old ladder and invest in a wide platform safety stool with a high handrail, or better yet, wait for a neighbor to arrive. Then there is the box trap. We all have them. Those heavy, overstuffed cardboard boxes labeled books or kitchen miscellaneous. We tend to underestimate the weight of paper. A small box of books can easily weigh 40 pounds. When you bend over to lift that box, you are putting a physical load on your lumbar spine that is 10 times the weight of the object itself due to the leverage. Your back is a bridge, not a crane. For a senior, the intervertebral discs have thinned, and the bone density in the vertebrae may not be what it was at 40. Lifting that box alone doesn't just risk a pulled muscle, it risks a compression fracture. I've seen the pop of a disc change a person's gait forever. If you are decluttering, your rule should be the 5-pound limit. If it weighs more than a bag of sugar, it stays on the floor until someone younger can move it to a table for you to sort through. Deep in the dark corners of our cabinets lies a chemical graveyard. Old bottles of drain cleaner, half-empty canisters of paint thinner, and vintage, extra-strength bleach. Many of these products were manufactured before modern safety standards existed. Over time, plastic bottles degrade and leak. When you go to clean out that cabinet under the sink, you aren't just moving bottles. You are potentially inhaling concentrated fumes or getting caustic liquids on your skin. Did you know that mixing 2 different old cleaners, even by accident on a rag, can create toxic chlorine or mustard gas? As we age, our respiratory systems are more sensitive to these irritants. A cleaning project can quickly turn into a trip to the emergency room with chemical burns or lung inflammation. If you find a stash of old, unlabeled chemicals, don't touch them. Call your local hazardous waste disposal team. It's a specialized job that you should never, ever do alone. The act of reaching high over your head is more than just a stretch. It is a cardiovascular and neurological stress test. When you reach for that heavy porcelain platter on the top kitchen shelf, several things happen simultaneously. Your neck tilts back, which can momentarily constrict the vertebral arteries, reducing blood flow to the brain. This often causes shelf syncope, that sudden lightheadedness that hits right when you have something heavy in your hands. Gravity is a relentless creditor. It always collects. I remember trying to reach a set of holiday plates at age 71. I felt that sudden wave of vertigo, and for a split second, I didn't know which way was up. I survived that moment because I happened to be leaning against the counter, but many aren't so lucky. Reaching high shifts your center of gravity to your toes, the least stable part of your footprint. If your kitchen requires a ladder for daily items, your kitchen is incorrectly designed for your current life. It's time to move the heavy hitters to waist height. To understand the risk, we have to look under the skin. A 3D render of a senior hip reveals the reality of bone architecture. Over time, the honeycomb structure of our bones, the trabeculae, becomes thinner and more brittle. This is especially true if you haven't been doing heavy resistance training. MC5. This means that a fall that would have caused a bruise at 30 causes a shattered femur at 75. But here is the part no one tells you. Sometimes, the bone breaks before you hit the ground. A sudden twist or a violent jerk to catch your balance can be enough to fracture a fragile hip neck, which then causes the fall. This is why clutter isn't just a mess. It's a physical threat to your skeletal integrity. Every time you navigate a narrow, cluttered path, you are forcing your body to make micro-adjustments and sudden twists. We must treat our homes like a professional athlete treats a stadium. The surface must be flat, predictable, and free of obstacles. Let's talk about the area rug trap. We love them for their warmth and style, but in the world of senior health, they are often referred to as tripwires. A rug with a curled edge or a rug sitting on a slick floor without a proper rubber backing is a disaster waiting to happen. Comfort should never come at the expense of safety. If you are in the middle of a home reset, the very first thing you should do is evaluate every rug in your house. If it moves when you push it with your toe, it has to go. Many seniors keep these rugs out of sentimentality. Maybe it was a gift, or it's an expensive Persian silk. But ask yourself, is the rug worth a hip replacement? During a decluttering phase, you are often moving backward or sideways as you sort items. This is when your heel catches that one loose thread or that slightly raised corner. If you want to keep your rugs, have a professional tape them down, or better yet, transition to clear, hard surface flooring. There is a psychological weight to a home that is too full. As we look out our windows and reflect on the decades past, the objects around us can start to feel like anchors rather than memories. We keep things because we fear that losing the object means losing the person or the moment associated with it. But a museum home is a dangerous home. When we have too much furniture, our flight path, the way we move from the bed to the bathroom in the middle of the night, becomes a zigzag. Most falls happen in the dark, during those 2 a.m. trips. If you have to navigate around an ottoman, a side table, and a floor lamp just to get to the door, you are living in a high-risk zone. Decluttering isn't about erasing your past. It's about clearing a path for your future. It's about ensuring that your home supports your mobility rather than hindering it. True peace of mind comes from knowing that even in the dark, your path is clear. The filing cabinet is a monument to a life of responsibility, but it is also a mechanical hazard. I remember my old 4-drawer metal cabinet. It was packed with every tax return since 1985. One afternoon, I made the mistake of opening the top 2 drawers at the same time to compare records. MC7 gravity doesn't care about your filing system. As the center of gravity shifted, that 300-pound steel tower began to lean toward me. At 70, your ability to jump out of the way is diminished. If that cabinet tips, it isn't just a mess, it's a crushing injury. This is why paper purging is a task that requires a partner. One person to steady the furniture and another to sort. We hold on to paper because it feels like proof of our life's work. But paper is incredibly heavy and physically taxing to move. If you are still using vertical filing cabinets, it is time to transition to a digital cloud or, at the very least, horizontal storage that cannot tip. Don't let your history be the thing that physically breaks you. Imagine this. You are alone, sorting through a box on the floor, and you lose your balance. You tumble. You aren't seriously hurt, but you can't get back up. You look across the floor and see your cell phone. It's sitting on the charger, just 5 feet away. But 5 feet might as well be 5 miles when your hip is locked or your strength is gone. The greatest danger of living alone is the distance between you and help. This is the reality of solo decluttering. When we are in this zone, we forget to keep our lifelines close. I've heard stories of seniors spending 18 hours on a cold floor because they were just moving a few things and didn't think they needed their phone in their pocket. This is why the buddy system isn't a suggestion, it's a mandate. If you are tackling a home project, you must either have someone in the house with you or use a wearable alert device. Pride is a cold companion when you're stuck on the linoleum at 3 a.m. There is a profound sense of relief that comes with a zero-obstacle floor plan. Look at a modern, safe living space. No thick rugs, no decorative floor vases, no nests of tangled extension cords. It looks like a gallery, but it functions like a fortress of safety. When I finally cleared my living room of the extra furniture, I noticed something amazing. My anxiety levels dropped. I no longer had to calculate my steps. We don't realize how much mental energy we waste every day just navigating our own clutter. For a senior, this mental fatigue leads to physical stumbles. By creating wide walkways, at least 36 inches across, you are preparing your home for the reality of aging. Whether you eventually need a cane, a walker, or just a bit more room to steady yourself, a clear floor is the ultimate luxury. It's the visual representation of a life that is no longer burdened by stuff that has outlived its usefulness. The most beautiful sight in a home transition isn't the clean closet, it's the collaboration. There is a specific joy in handing a heavy object to a son, a daughter, or a hired helper and saying, "I don't need to carry this anymore." Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a declaration of value for your own future. When you work with a partner, the decluttering process becomes a storytelling session. You pick up an item, tell the story, and then let the younger muscles do the heavy lifting. This protects your heart, your spine, and your joints. It also ensures that the emotional labor of letting go doesn't become a physical burden. I wish I had realized sooner that my children didn't want me to struggle through my chores. They wanted me to be safe, so I could spend more years with them. Working together turns a dangerous task into a bonding experience that bridges the generational gap. We often talk about what's on the floor, but we rarely talk about what's on our feet. If you are decluttering, your choice of footwear is your first line of defense. Those old, fleece-lined slippers might be comfortable, but they are accident magnets. They have no grip, no ankle support, and the loose heels can easily catch on a door threshold. I switched to a sturdy, non-slip indoor shoe with a firm sole, and the difference in my stability was immediate. When you are moving boxes or shifting furniture, you need a foundation. Think of your shoes as the tires on a car. If the tread is gone, you're going to hydroplane on that polished wood floor. This is especially important in the kitchen or garage where spills are common. A simple spill of olive oil or water becomes a skating rink if you're wearing socks or old slippers. Before you start your next home project, look down. If your shoes aren't up to the task, your project shouldn't start. The attic is the graveyard of status clutter. These are the things we keep because they represent who we were. The trophies from a 1982 bowling league, the diplomas, the heavy oak desk from our first big job. But the attic is a death trap for a 70-year-old. It's often reached by a pull-down ladder that is steep and unstable. The temperature is unregulated, leading to quick fatigue and dehydration. You are not your trophies. I spent an afternoon in my attic trying to find my old college yearbooks and nearly fainted from the heat. I realized that those books were literally weighing down my house and my health. If your memories are stored in a place that requires a climb, they are effectively lost to you anyway. Bring the memories down, safely, with help. Digitize the photos, and let the heavy physical objects go. Your legacy is the wisdom you share, not the dust-covered mahogany desk that no one in the family has room for anymore. The garage floor is a hidden theater of slips. Beyond the boxes, there is the reality of automotive fluids. A tiny drop of power steering fluid or a slow leak from a lawnmower can be nearly invisible on gray concrete, but it is as slick as ice. When a senior is focused on moving a box, they aren't looking at the floor for microspills. I once stepped on a small patch of spilled antifreeze while carrying a bag of potting soil. My feet went out from under me so fast, I didn't even have time to let go of the bag. That's how injuries happen, in the blink of an eye. This is why a pre-project sweep is vital. Before you start any decluttering in a utility area, you must inspect the floor with a flashlight. Look for the glimmer of oil or water. If you find it, clean it with an absorbent material immediately. Better yet, have someone else do the inspection while you wait in a safe, dry area. Let's look at the biomechanics of the lift. A 3D render of the spine during a heavy lift shows the terrifying pressure placed on the L4 and L5 vertebrae. As we age, the muscles that support the spine, the multifidus and the erector spinae, atrophy. This means the bone-on-bone pressure increases significantly. The best way to fix a back injury is to never have one. When you try to muscle a heavy item alone, you are essentially gambling with your ability to walk without pain. I've seen people in their 70s develop a permanent limp because they tried to move a medium-weight box of Christmas lights. The inflammation from a strained ligament at our age doesn't go away in a week. It can last months or trigger chronic sciatica. If an object requires you to hold your breath or brace your core, it is too heavy for you to move alone. Period. There is no medal for doing it yourself in your 70s. There are only doctor appointments. The ultimate goal is the waist-height life. Imagine a workspace where you never have to bend down to the floor and you never have to reach above your shoulders. This is the Goldilocks zone of senior health. When I reorganized my tools and my kitchen, I moved everything into this 30-inch high window. The physical relief was instant. No more head rushes from standing up too fast. No more back twinges from reaching into low cabinets. If you are decluttering, don't just throw things out. Reposition what stays. This is a task that requires a partner to hold the shelves while you choose the placement. A home that is organized for your current height and strength is a home you can live in for another 20 years. It turns the house from a series of reaches and bends into a smooth, effortless environment. This is how we win the war against aging, by adapting the world to fit our needs. There is a specific kind of freedom in the word professional. When you hire movers or a junk removal service, you aren't just paying for labor. You are buying injury insurance. I remember the day the professional crew came to take away my old, heavy sleeper sofa. It took 3 strong young men to navigate it out the door. I watched them and realized I was actually considering doing that myself with just my neighbor. Wealth is the ability to pay someone else to take the risks you no longer need to take. Seeing the relief on your own face as a heavy burden is literally lifted out of your life is a milestone in senior wellness. It marks the transition from the doer to the director. In this stage of life, your job is to make the decisions, not to provide the horsepower. Letting the pros handle the dangerous tasks is the smartest health decision you will ever make. The emergency alert button is often viewed with a sense of not yet. We tell ourselves that we aren't that old or that frail. But as a script architect for senior wellness, I see it differently. It is a piece of high-tech gear for a high-performance life. When you are decluttering or organizing, the risk of a non-catastrophic fall, one where you are simply stuck, is at its peak. Having that button around your neck or on your wrist turns a potential 18-hour ordeal on the floor into a 5-minute inconvenience. I've spoken to men who felt emasculated by the device until the day they slipped in the garage while sorting old hardware. That button was the only thing that stood between them and hypothermia. If you are embarking on a home project, think of it like a parachute. You don't plan on jumping out of the plane, but you'd be a fool to fly without one. It's about ensuring that a small mistake doesn't become a final chapter. Let's look at the hallway. For years, it's been a gallery of family photos, narrow console tables, and maybe a decorative umbrella stand. But if you find yourself needing a walker or even just a cane for bad knee days, that hallway becomes a gauntlet. Your home must expand as your mobility needs change. During your purge, pay special attention to these transit zones. If you can't walk down your hallway with both arms extended without hitting furniture, the hallway is too narrow. A fall in a narrow space is twice as dangerous because you are likely to hit a sharp corner or a glass-top table on the way down. Decluttering these transition areas is the highest priority for aging in place. It's not just about looks. It's about creating a crash-free zone. When you clear those walls, you aren't losing your history. You are making sure you have the room to keep making new memories safely. The caution sign is a symbol we usually associate with public spaces, but it belongs in our homes during a reset. When we are in the middle of a decluttering project, we often leave piles of keep, toss, and donate on the floor. These piles are invisible hazards. We think we remember where they are, but our muscle memory of the room hasn't updated yet. You turn a corner to answer the phone, and your foot catches a stack of National Geographics. This is why you should never declutter in the middle of a walkway. Use a staging table instead. By keeping everything at waist height, even the things you are throwing away, you eliminate the need to look down and navigate obstacles. If you must have piles on the floor, use bright painter's tape to mark a no-go zone. Treat your home like a construction site because, in a way, you are rebuilding your life for the next 20 years. The transition from heavy indoor chores to light outdoor joy work is where the reward lies. Look at a senior pruning a rosebush at waist height. This is safe movement. It provides the vitamin D, the low-impact exercise, and the mental stimulation we need without the crushing risks of the basement or attic. The goal of decluttering is to stop maintaining your past so you can start enjoying your present. When you clear out the dangerous 7 tasks, you free up your physical budget for things that actually bring you life. I found that once I stopped trying to move my own furniture and clean my own gutters, I had the energy to actually walk in my garden. We only have so much vitality juice in the tank each day. Why waste it on tasks that could break your hip when you could spend it on things that nourish your soul? This is the core philosophy of the Wisecast. We don't slow down. We just get smarter about where we speed up. The big screen hazard is one we often overlook. Many of us still have those heavy, boxy CRT televisions or massive, unstable entertainment centers from the 90s. These are top-heavy and incredibly dangerous to move. If you are still living with a 100-pound television because you don't want to bother anyone to move it, you are living next to a ticking clock. These items are prone to tipping, and the glass is not tempered like modern screens. This is a must-toss item that requires professional help. Transitioning to a lightweight, wall-mounted flat screen isn't just a tech upgrade, it's a safety upgrade. It clears floor space, removes a tipping hazard, and improves your posture by putting the screen at eye level. Don't let your status clutter from the analog age be the thing that causes a digital age injury. The digital transition is the ultimate decluttering hack. I remember looking at 3 bookshelves full of photo albums. I was terrified of a fire, yet I was terrified to move them. A memory doesn't weigh anything. Once I had a service come in and digitize everything, I could hold my entire 75 years of life in the palm of my hand on a tablet. I sat in my clear, bright living room and felt a weight lift off my chest that I didn't even know I was carrying. Now, I can share those photos with my grandkids in an instant, and the physical shelves are gone, replaced by a beautiful, empty wall that makes the room feel twice as large. This is the modern senior way. We keep the essence and discard the mass. If your stuff is preventing you from breathing in your own home. It's time to convert the physical into the digital. Safe disposal of chemicals is a final act of stewardship. When you finally get those old jars of lead paint and caustic cleaners out of your house, you aren't just protecting yourself. You're protecting your home's air quality and the environment. Many of the respiratory niggles we feel as we age are actually caused by the slow off-gassing of old household products. Once they are gone, the smell of the house changes. It feels fresh, light, and healthy. This is the clean slate phase. You've braved the dangerous 7. You've used the buddy system, and you've prioritized your spine over your ego. You should feel a massive sense of accomplishment. You have done the hard work that most people avoid until it's forced upon them by a crisis. You are proactive, you are prepared, and most importantly, you are safe. A home with a clear perimeter is a home that invites peace. Look at the fireplace. No more stacks of old newspapers nearby. No more heavy iron tools that are hard to lift. Just the warmth and the light. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication in aging. At 70, you deserve a home that serves you, not a home that demands you serve it. Every object you removed was a chore you deleted from your future. Every heavy box you let someone else carry was a potential hospital visit you avoided. This is what true longevity looks like. It's the intersection of a clear environment and a sharp mind. You've curated your space to match your current strength, and in doing so, you've extended your ability to live here independently for years to come. The buddy system handshake. This is the most important image of the entire journey. It represents the end of the I can do it all myself era and the beginning of the community era. We weren't meant to age in isolation, and we certainly weren't meant to move furniture alone. Whether it's a paid professional, a grandson, or a friend from the senior center, that second pair of eyes is your greatest health asset. They see the rug you missed. They catch the box before it slips. They call for help if the unthinkable happens. As you look at your decluttered home, remember that the stuff you got rid of was just a placeholder for the people who helped you move it. The relationships are the only things that truly belong in your golden years home. Walking into the light. That is the final goal. A clear, sun-drenched hallway. A body that feels light because it isn't straining, and a mind that is free from the hurts of throwing things away. You have navigated the dangerous 7 and come out the other side stronger. You've turned a house of hazards into a sanctuary of safety. The best time to prepare for the future was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. By taking these steps now, before a fall, before a break, before a crisis, you have taken control of your destiny. This is the Wisecast, reminding you that your home should be the place where you live your best life, not the place where you lose it. Stay safe, stay clear, and keep walking toward the light.